Hi everyone, it's Kate from TRG. Most of the questions that we receive from all of you in the TRG 30 network are tactical and strategic. They're questions about how do we approach this type of situation? What do I do when I've got a patron group like this? The question that I received today is a challenge to all of us. And so I want to share that question with you. And then I want to talk about practically, how do we become people who can answer this question and answer it in the ways that we want to answer it, to be inspiring to our communities and to others. So here's the question. What are organizations willing to give up to become anti-racist? We cannot maintain the status quo and become anti-racist. I happen to believe, as the person who asked this question does, that we cannot continue to operate as arts organizations as we did in the past and see genuine change, to see genuine movement as an anti-racist force for our artists, for our patrons, for our communities. And so, yes, we must give up some things. We must take on some new things in order to become anti-racist. From talking to so many of you over the last 6 weeks or so, I have heard a desire for change, a desire to become organizations that not only talk about the importance of diversity, but embody diversity, have taken action on this front, have truly morphed into a force for positive change in our communities. But change can be challenging for a number of reasons in this environment. The mayor of Flint, Michigan, here in the United States, described the current environment as a crisis on top of a crisis with a side of crisis. And with so much going on, so many fronts that we're battling, for some of you, there's a spectrum. Some of you find that the ways that a crisis on top of a crisis with a side of crisis opens doors for change to happen and to become real. Some of you find that invigorating, and you can see a future past to the other side, and you feel moved by that. For some of the others of you on a different end of the spectrum, you see it, you understand and are moved by the potential of it, but the number of crises that we're facing can leave you feeling overwhelmed and stuck in place. Where do you even begin to face what we're facing right now? For those of you who are living on that end of the spectrum, I want to tell you a story. I was watching Joanne Steller, who was a former colleague here at TRG, has since retired, at a conference in Philadelphia. And she was presenting some complex data analysis and an overarching vision of ways we as arts organizations could manage our audiences differently to grow loyalty. And one of my peers, a leader at a small organization there in Philadelphia, stood up at the end of the presentation and said, "Gosh, I see the potential in everything you're describing. I know it would be impactful at my organization, but I don't have the staff to do what you're describing. I don't have the revenue, to the dollars to do what you're describing. And how could I make audience change if I can't do all that you're describing?" And Joanne's response, after she thought a moment, was, "Yeah, you're exactly right. We don't all have the capacity to do all of this today." So the question you have to ask as a leader is, what is one step that we can commit to one piece of this that we could identify at our organization would be possible for us to do, and commit to taking that step. Commit to not only acting on it, but measuring it and learning from that one step. And when you've done the one step, and you see what happens, either it's going to be successful and you're going to build by taking the next step, or it's not going to be successful and you're going to say, okay, let's make a turn. We're going to turn direction based on what we've learned, and we're going to take a new step in a different direction based on what we've learned. So the question I have for you as a field, as you look at this, if you are in the group that says, man, I see what the potential is, but it feels so daunting, what is one step you could commit to today? Personally, perhaps it's something you do in your day-to-day work. Perhaps it's something you're going to do with board governance, or with a way you manage your audiences, or with something in your programming. But what is one step you can take that you can act upon and measure that will enable you to be the foundation of your next step, and the next step beyond that, and the next step beyond that? If we start to take steps as a field, little by little, and commit to taking one step and then another, we will, in 6 months, in 12 months, have taken a number of steps that are going to enable us to answer back to this person posing the question. What are we willing to give up? Here's what we're willing to give up. Here's what we've done meaningfully. I don't expect that we will have solved all of the problems of becoming anti-racist in 6 months or 12 months. But the journey begins with a step. So commit to one step. Commit to taking the step after that. And pretty soon we're going to be pretty far to answering this question of what were we willing to give up. Thanks for the provocative question. To those of you out there, I would love to hear what step you are committing to take. Please share that with us, either here on the TRG 30 network, or shoot us a note. And I look forward to coming back together with you again soon. Take care.